Okay, so but it is fact though that you never saw Willie again because he got arrested and all of a sudden he's not racing.
He got sent home.
He got sent home to California or wherever,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. So now they need a driver. Humpy needs a driver.
Well, Humpy calls me and he said, you don't be disappointed, he said, but I've sent your young man back to California. Mm-hmm. And I'm, man, now what? I'm all geared to go to Charlotte. Thought I was going to be a car owner. I got a fast car. What am I going to do now? And he says, just don't worry about it. He says, we'll figure out something. But he says, you're going to hear your name on TV tonight. And he said, we'll figure out something, is what he said. So Howard Johnson comes on the TV and he starts talking about, Cronkrites lost his driver. And that's all I hear. The phone rings, and it's your dad. He says, can I drive that car?
How did you and Dad know each other?
We weren't friends. We didn't hang around at the racetrack. Somehow we got connected. We were both having problems with right front springs breaking. And he and I don't even remember where we were. Oh, yeah, we were actually at your grandma's house.
Oh.
You know what? If you see her, you tell her I was asking about her.
I will.
She has fixed peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for me to eat, and I'll never forget that. Me and your dad go sit on that back porch, and she'd bring out peanut butter and jelly sandwich in wax paper. But we were at your dad's shop, and we'd both been breaking springs. You know, you'd cut a spring to size, and then you'd weld a pin on the end to keep it from backing out the lower control arm. And I just would ground the spring and hold the pin and weld it. And it just seemed like, to me, we're looking at your dad's spring and mine, the two springs that we were looking at, felt I could see a little inclusion in the top part of that coil. So that arc just set up a stress concentration area, and that's where the springs broke. It seems implausible to me, but that's all I could think of. So from then to now, I'm sure your dad did, and I did too, we'd hold a pin with the ground and weld it on, so we weren't grounding. We were grinding the pin, not the spring.
Interesting.
So that was just it, a 2 or 3 hour conversation.
All right.
He did show me a little box that I think had 5 or 6 of them screwdriver things on. Your grandpa used for axle keys. Yeah. He was pretty proud of that. I mean, he was proud to show me those.
Big story.
Yeah.
So the story is that I guess in the '60s, racing dirt tracks, they were breaking axle keys, and Granddaddy found or figured out to use the screwdriver to cut a screwdriver up into pieces and use it. It was a little bit tougher than the stock axle key because they kept breaking them.
It was my understanding it was one particular brand.
It was a store. He was going and buying them up, right?
He went to all the stores around town and bought every screwdriver of that brand.
Your dad told me that.
The rest of the guys in the sport didn't have those. But so Dad calls you and says, "Let me drive that car."
And I said, it's not my car. This is a deal program. I said, I'm not in charge. He says, well, do you care if I ask Humpy? No, so I don't care. Harold Johnson's still talking about it on the television. Humpy calls. He says, you care if this young boy drives your car? Humpy says, I said, do you think he can keep it off the wall? But I'm telling you, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. I said, sure, I'd like to do that. So then Howard Johnson's just signing off on that story.
On the
and
news.
Your dad calls and he says, I'm coming down. We're going to fit that seat. And we needed to. The race was in the morning. So he says, I'm bringing my seat. We're going to fit the seat. Well, I'm figuring we're going to change some holes. He's going to,
the race was when?
It was the next morning. It must have been Tuesday, so Wednesday would have been the first day at the track. I mean, it was.
So it's happening.
We had to do it. I mean, it's on. If it's going, we're starting right now.
Golly.
And I wrote in the book, I think he lived 52 or 53 miles away and was there in 45 minutes.
Yeah, he's hauling.
And he had this little scrawny kid in the front seat with him.
Yeah. I can't believe I was there.
Sitting at the table right now. So
that's true. I mean, that's a
that
true.
Part true.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
the way I read in the book is that y'all spent 4 hours or so
at least
right hammering on this car, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And I sat in the passenger side of the truck looking out.
You stood in the passenger side of the truck. The window,
watching the whole time.
The window was halfway down. You must have had a cold because there's a lot of snot on that windshield. You had a runny nose. I don't, or you spit on it or something.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
just
sure.
little.
I'm sure
probably drooling. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But did I say?
Never said nothing.
Really?
The most well-behaved young man.
No
I believe
kidding.
No,
Woo!
And no issues with your dad. He'd look out the window. And you doing all right? You okay? You need anything?
Yeah.
You never.
That's it. All right. He checked on me. Yeah, that's good to know.
He did on a regular
Good to
basis.
know.
Yeah, couldn't rule it out. Right.
You don't know. You don't know.
You never know. So, all right, wait, give me an idea what time of day this is or night. It's at night. If you were
It's
watching
gotta
the
be
evening news.
it's 2:00 in the morning by the time we.
Woo! And he's in the truck at 2:00 in the morning?
Hell yeah, man. Hang of a dad.
Where's he gonna go?
Yeah.
I don't know. Bed? Like,
He wasn't missing nothing of it. He was right. I'm serious. Every time you looked out, the same. He was
Sitting there watching. Heck yeah.
nose hanging over the top of that glass in that right side door.
That's crazy.
wouldn't it be irony if Dale did that so my boy will have a memory that he'll always be able to rely on when the time he came to work on a car with me, and then Dale Jr. has no recollection of it whatsoever?
Yeah. I was probably only 4.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that gets you Dad of the Year awards.
You had blue jeans on and a short sleeve pullover, not a sweatshirt, but a shirt like that. Short sleeve you pull over your head.
So Dad walks in, all right, to work on this car to fit this seat.
The night before race.
And he had I can't believe he did this, but I didn't know he was doing this early. But he takes the seat out and cuts your.
He brought a seat with him.
Okay, what kind of seat? Why did he bring a seat? What was wrong with the seat in it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just now
Gotcha.
it's coming to mind. I don't know why.
So he brings the seat with him. Anyways, he takes the seat that's in there and cuts it out and cuts your car all to pieces.
We go in there. We're changing the brackets in the seat. He gets in and out. This ain't happening. I want to do this. We drill it, move it back, do this. And then we re-welded the brackets for the seat to go back, and he in and out, in and out, and in and out. And this goes on and on, and we keep doing more. He wants more. Another change, and we not only end up cutting the seat rail out, we cut a square piece out of the floor.
Oh my gosh!
And moved the floor
Lower.
Down about an inch. Yeah. Oh my gosh! Is right. Yeah. That's what I was. Almost what I was.
Yeah,
thinking.
because he wanted to be low.
Right. He just wanted to look a certain way, and I know enough that he's a good driver. I know he's not being an idiot.
Do you know that? Because he hadn't established himself as.
Well, if Humpy says he can drive that car, I'm okay.
But he crashed. He only had 2 or 3 starts up into that point. So you're just going on Humpy's word. You're not.
Yeah,
you don't really know.
I ain't parking my cars. I mean, I'm
right. You got that. Car.
I got a chance to.
Okay.
I'm
Fair enough.
just as enthused as your dad is. I'll tell you. I'm just as pumped.
Yeah.
We're going to go racing in the morning.
Yeah.
Did it strike you as odd that he's wanting to make all these changes to your car, having not been it's not like it's Benny Parsons or Cale or somebody coming in with all this influence. I mean, he's telling you to cut up your car.
It wasn't. He knew what he wanted, and I didn't feel the need to question. I mean, I understood sort of the need, and I've shared with him later on. Just when we finally got the seat where he wanted, he says, "You don't know why we're doing all this, do you?" And I said, "Well, it's like what do they say that?" If Mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. And I can imagine if a driver's not happy, he ain't gonna leg that thing. It's just you got to do what you got to do. You want the guy to give you what you're looking for.
So y'all finally get the seat tuned up. As I understand it, he had you maybe even sat in the car and showed you why he mounted the seat that way.
He says, "You don't know what we're doing, do you?" And I gave him that answer. He says, "Well, get in the car." And so I get in the car, and he said, "Where's that? If you barrel that car down into the first turn at Charlotte, where's that car in front of you?" I've never driven one of these cars, so I just point out the front window at the wall, and he said he went like that, and he said, "Well, where's the car in front of him?" And I looked at him like he was crazy. It's out in front of him, and he said, "No." He said, "That car's up here in the corner of this A-post." And the light just went off. He knew. That was the first and the most impressive thing I remember about your dad was that we did all this crap, 2:00 in the morning. He could have settled for something different. He could have asked my opinion. We could have quit early, but we did it here. And as soon as I saw that, I was impressed.
That's interesting.
That takes testicles, in my opinion, to come down and do that to that car. So, but he knew what he wanted. He knew what he wanted.
Yeah, when you go down in the corner.
Yeah. I'm sitting here.
You're looking around the bank, and that's exactly right. So
that's right. He's working the angles.
Yeah.
Wow, he didn't really just want to take the hammer and everything to all these cars.
He can see further around the curve.
For sure. So, when y'all got finished, did you paint any of the
spray can gray? It's just gray. Yeah.
All right. So you go to the racetrack the next morning. Did he meet you at the shop or meet you at the track?
No, he brought you to the racetrack again in the morning.
Bull crap.
And I remember
you haven't even left the truck yet.
I don't even remember this.
No, I
wearing the same clothes.
I got to be pretty tired by this point.
I mean, gosh almighty, is he wearing the same clothes?
Probably.
I don't know that.
Yeah. So he showed up. He met you at the track.
But he brought you, and what I remember, I think I shared with you in an earlier conversation that Kelly came up, and you were both happy to see each other. And I don't know why you left, but you walked up and got a hold of her hand, and you all walked off someplace, going to get a sandwich or something. But and your dad was here. But
wow. So I'm assuming, and this is 78, Dad and Mom are splitting up or split up, and maybe for that particular day or two or whatever, Dad had me, and then he goes to the track. Mom's there with Kelly. I see Kelly.
That would fit exactly what I remember. Yeah.
And I'm all happy. So Dad and you were at the track on Wednesday, first time on the racetrack. He goes out and drives the car, right? Any conversation before he gets in? He just hops in and goes?
Nothing to say,
Yeah.
First time for everybody. Just go spin it. See
what do you recall from those few days of practice and all that? Go pretty smooth?
Yes, yeah. Between he and I was smooth. The car, it was a Budmore car set up for Charlotte. It had the right gear, the right heads. I mean, there was he and I had no excuses. We had the right piece to work with.
Yep.
I remember that we went pretty well. At the tail end of the deal, we ended up, somebody bought us another set of tires. And I'm a little puzzled about that because I guess I'd like to tell you the story about it, how we got sponsored on that car and how Humpy was working with us. We were working on the car with your dad. We weren't really having any problem. We, putting a bite in the car, changing the wedge, neutralizing a sway bar or something. We weren't thrashing in any way, and we weren't kicking anybody's butt. But we just were wanting to go fast enough to get in. And Humpy said, "When you get here in the morning, come up and see me, and I'll give you some money. I got some money for you." So I go up to his office, and he gives me $3,500. And I'm thinking, 1978, $3,500 is a pretty darn good bite. So we're down there working on the car, and I think the sign painter's finishing up something. And this other man walks up and said, I'm the owner of that tractor company. He said, "I got some money for you." So he gave me an envelope. I opened it up, and there's $3,500 in it. And I thought, man, this is getting better all along. Until it dawned on me, this is the money. Humpy fronted me this money. This money is actually Humpy's. So I put it in my pocket. So we go ahead, and we're racing, and we ran pretty good. I don't remember the name of the gentleman that was Humpy's grounds manager.
Is it Jivey Simpson? Probably not. Maybe not. Anyhow,
I know, and I'm apologize because he bought us a set of tires.
Oh wow! Huh.
Yeah, and I'm trying to just
must have been a pal of Daddy's or something.
Well, he worked for your no. Well, he was he was a fan of your dad's, but he worked for Humpy.
Yeah.
And he was in charge of the grounds. It's in the book. I'm sorry I can't remember his name, but we needed them set of tires. I'm trying to think out now why if I had $3,500, I didn't have enough money for more tires.
Well, you had to get.
I bought wheels,
air engine,
tanks. Yes.
You bought everything.
Yeah,
you had to buy everything.
I did.
To pit the car.
I did. Well, I had most of the pit equipment, but I had to get a new gun. New regulators and wheels. I had to buy 10 wheels.
I remember in your book, I read you had it itemized out and everything, how you spent everything, and how you made it stretch every dollar.
Yeah, that went pretty well, and the race went well. And I'll tell you this: we're in the middle of the race, and I still think we're on the lead lap. We're running pretty good. We ain't kicking nobody's butt, but we're nothing spinning out. We're not screwing up. We're giving him decent stops, and things are going pretty well. And we come in, and somebody slower than us is in front of him, and he's mirror driving him, and it's obvious. I mean, it's just obvious. And your dad called on the phone, on the radio, and we're really proud. Some of that money was spent getting that radio put in your dad's helmet. And
so you like to hear from him?
Yeah. And well, I'm just proud as I can be. I got a radio. I can talk to my driver. But he comes by, he comes under the flag stand here, and he says, "You care if I spin this guy out?" And I said, I don't care if you spin him out, but can you do it without hurting our car? Well, clearly he thought he could have, but I wanted to make sure, I guess. He says, I'm going to give him 3 laps. But 3 means a lot to stuff that I've associated with your dad. He says, I'm going to give him 3 laps. And he comes by and he works him down. This guy goes down. He comes back around. He comes down. The guy goes down. He's coming to the flag stand off of turn 4. That's kind of a scary place, ain't it? He calls me. He's turned one hand loose to work on. He says, I'm going to do it now. He walked down. That guy worked down. Your dad went a little bit lower than normal and walked across the back of his spoiler and lifted the butt of his car up, and he just scooted like that, and your dad just went underneath him just like that. I was impressed. I mean, I'm not a driver talent.
That's talent.
Judge, but
that's
you gotta know that.
Yeah, I'm impressed. That's pretty cool.
And he told me he was going to do it. He told me where he was going to do it, and he told me when. That's right. He called his shot. That's exactly right.
So the race ends. Everything's in one piece. Car's in one piece. Got a decent finish. What's the conversation like when Dad gets out of the car?
We said we were talking to the sponsor, and we said to him, can we do more? And your dad said, I'm in. And I said, I am too. And so the guy committed to 4 more races.
Right there on the spot?
Right there. Just
at Charlotte?
Yeah, just right
at
after the race.
Okay.
Yeah, his car went the whole deal, and nothing got smashed, and nobody ticked him off or swore at him or nothing.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I just didn't think nothing about it. I didn't know any other way of getting money. I just said, can we do more? And he said, yeah, and your dad said he was in. So
the schedule was Daytona, Talladega. Or what y'all ended up doing was Daytona, Talladega, Darlington. My question is, did you already know what those races would be when all of a sudden you got this deal?
I don't remember itemizing it, but I just knew we weren't going to go to any short tracks, and we weren't going to go to California. So it just worked out. On $3,500 a race, you're
just
sort of
makes sense.
Yeah, I don't remember setting it out as a schedule, and I think we probably went one race at a time.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I think are we still going? We're still good. He said I might could go 3 or 4 races. I think so. What he said, 3 or 4 more races. But then Humpy comes down, wanting to know how we're doing, and I've got that money in my pocket, that $3,500, and I give him that envelope with that $3,500 in. I said, this is yours. I should have given it to you before now. And he looked over at my truck and my trailer and that car. Have you seen a picture of that?
Yeah, I've
seen it. That's my favorite picture of my time with your dad, was coming home with that car. It was a stolen trailer in an old 64 pickup truck, 6-cylinder pickup truck.
Bowed down.
Dragging the ground. And Humpy looked over and he saw that. And he gave me that money back. He says, here, go buy you a truck.
Can you tell the story about the stolen trailer real quick? I mean, I know there's a ton that we want to get to, but I mean, you just said, you go win this, or you go do this race, and with a stolen trailer, people are going to want to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
No, you should have. You should just add a little context to it.
This is a sudden occurrence. This all happens in 3 or 4 days. Literally 3 or 4 days, and then all of a sudden it dawns on me: how am I going to get this car to the racetrack? And there was a gentleman named Leon Boomershine from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
What a name.
He had bought a car from Darrell Waltrip, and I was skinning the car. I was putting a new body on it. And I'm thinking to myself, how can I get a trailer? And I'm kind of asking around. I called Leon. He said, no, you can't borrow that trailer. And I don't know why. I guess maybe he borrowed it or something. To this day, I have no idea why he didn't want me to borrow his trailer just to go to Charlotte. Well, I had to do something, and I just figured I could get to Charlotte and back before he could get here from Oklahoma.
So you borrowed it yourself. You borrowed it without permission.
How did you get the car to Talladega, Daytona, and all the other places?
Oh, we got that extra $3,500 from Humpy. We're in tall cotton. In the book, I show we went to High Point and bought one of Huggins' tire trucks.
Okay.
And brought it home, and a friend of mine in Pennsylvania, Greg Heller, did some painting and made it look like a race truck from the tire truck. And then I bought a used Reed trailer. That was hot stuff. That was. Do you know what the Reed trailer is? It's just back in them days. If you had a trailer, Petty and Junior and all them guys had a Reed trailers. Just a heavy duty, all diamond plate.
Oh wow!
Just a man's trailer. And I found a used one of them. So we went to Daytona with a Huggins tire truck. All our crap just sewn in the back of a big empty box. But I had a Reed trailer.
And a Reed trailer.
Yes, sir. No kidding.
So I know Dad had been to Daytona before in his sportsman car, so that wasn't a big, that wasn't a it's probably too big of a shock to him to go down there. Maybe it was for him to go down there and race in the Cup Series. I know he'd had a couple Cup races under his belt, but was driving your car was the first good car that he'd been able to be a part of in the Cup Series. Did he ever say or comment or talk about like how this did he feel like this was his big break, or that, man, thank you, Will, for giving me this opportunity?
Both of us just was wanting to race.
Yeah.
We just, let's go. Let's see how fast we can go. Let's see how far we can go.
How did things go smoothly at Talladega and Daytona and the rest of those races?
Daytona, the second story in that book about your dad, or the third story I think, is about Daytona. And if you're asking my opinion, what I may have contributed to your dad's future was that race, the Firecracker 400 in Daytona.
Why is that?
We were just fast. We just, from an independent team, maybe we were 10th fastest overall, but it was right. The car was feeling good. He liked the car, and we were running good. Somebody told me we might have been 3 laps down. I don't think so. I think we were a lap down. We really gave him a lousy pit stop towards the end of the race. We were a lap down. But the guys that were leading the race, there were 4 of them, they took 5 or 6 laps to get around your dad. And he wasn't holding them up. He wasn't, there's no rudeness involved. They had to pass him. He was holding his own. They were just faster, but he was doing a great job. When the caution comes out, I'm guessing here 20 laps to go. So I know them guys are going to get 4 tires. There's enough racing left. They're going to want to have everything. So we came in, just gave him 1 tire and just enough gas to finish the race, or 2 tires, and enough gas to finish the race. And he gets out ahead of them. And now he worked them boys hard to get around him. He just looked big time, professional. He was racing with the big boys. He was giving them everything they could take.
Yeah.
And I'm just of the opinion that the entire race he was like that. But there at the end, them guys I would have to say, better equipment and better experience at the speedways. He was just giving them everything they could chew on.
You call the chapter Dale's Big Break. I mean, that's what
that's my opinion. That was one race that
you think that
some days you just on and we were just on that day.
So is it fair to say that you think this is where maybe the day where people realized Dale Earnhardt could race like his dad?
I do.
Without whatever his reputation probably was up until that point, like he actually had the moxie to do this for a living, right? Did y'all finish 7th? If my records are right here.
we finished pretty good.
So you're talking about his first top 10 ever in Cup, of course. 5th race. I mean, like he wasn't even finishing races in those first 2 or 3.
Your dad never scratched my car.
Yeah.
And you run 4 races.
Harry Gant tapped the wall. My dad's a tall, scrawny guy, electrical engineer. First time he ever seen anything I did, he came to the Charlotte race. He came in the pits after that. He was wanting to kick Harry Gant's butt for crashing his boy's race car. I said, Dad, that's Harry Gant. You leave him alone.
So did Dad ride to the race with you?
No.
He meet you down there?
Yep. Every time.
Interesting. Was there any parting conversation or a moment when Dad
said?
No,
we knew we were going to go to 5 races. At some point, we knew there were going to be 5. I know that first time we didn't commit to the exact 5, the exact races, but we thought there were going to be 5. And it was after Darlington. Boy, we stunk it up at Darlington. We lost a gear and lousy pit stops. We didn't do him any good at Darlington. He calls me and he said, I got to ask you a favor. He said, Rod Osterlund wants me to drive his car next year. And he said they'd like me to drive 1 race this year without ruining his ability to run Rookie of the Year next year. And you can't say no. I mean, it's clearly Osterlund had more to offer him than I did. I had nothing in the way of sponsorship. I only had 1 car. So I said, yeah, I don't have a problem doing that. So this was for the second Charlotte race. I don't remember who, but somebody, I think Baxter Price, qualified the car. But your dad got in at the first caution and finished that race for me, and I admired him for that. He said he'd drive 5, and he did his best to drive 5 races. I admire your dad's integrity.
I'm missing something. Wait, so
what, Mike?
He finished the race, but he didn't start the race for you?
That's correct.
In your,
So if he starts to race, he ruins his rookie eligibility for 1979 and can't race for the Rookie of the Year, which is
Okay.
which is this big point
okay,
of
because I
contention
guess
for his,
if you run more than 4 races, I
I
guess.
suppose, yeah.
You
got
can
it.
run.
Okay.
You can run 5.
Okay. Okay.
And he had ran 5. He had ran 5 races, couldn't run another one. So Baxter started the car
Got it.
in the 6th race.
Yeah, he'd run. He'd run 4.
It's
He'd run
Charlotte.
4.
Yeah, he couldn't run the 5th, or that would have made him ineligible.
Okay.
But I've got him running in Atlanta for Osterlin that year in 1970.
That was probably
That
what
would have been the one.
Yeah. So Osterlin, Mike Osterlin calls and says, "We're hiring you for 79, but
Yep.
we want you to run Atlanta in our car." So he goes to Will and says, "Will, I can't run your car. I can't start your car at Charlotte because that'll put me over the 5
Yep.
because Osterlin wants me in Atlanta." He says, "No problem." Baxter starts the car. Dad
Got it.
jumped in it and ran
and
the
he
race.
jumped in and finished it at Charlotte, and then
Yes.
ran his Atlanta
but
race.
I, but I admired that because he could have just sat it out, but he
He could have.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. So it was an amicable thing, although probably disappointing for you.
disappointing to me. Yeah, big time. 'Cause
Yeah.
especially now. Turned out he knew something.
Turns out he was all right, wasn't he?
Yeah, you could look at it like that, I guess, or you could look at it like you were a big catalyst. Without you,
I would like that. I mean,
well, I think that's the way people do view it. Is without you, that does, his opportunity doesn't come.
Humpy was kind enough to say that to me, so that's a big deal.
Well,
Thank you.
there you go.
That's
a
big deal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I mean that's the reality of the situation. I think is that's why that car sits on this table, is because that car and that you and that car and that opportunity wouldn't have gave him the chance to showcase himself and what he did and be able to go to Rods and get hired there. What he was doing in his sportsman car was good stuff, but I don't think it would have got him that full-time ride. To see him compete in the Cup Series in that car, your car, and not scratch your car, go out there and run in the top 10 and do well is the
Things went really smooth. He was good on pit stops and.
So after Dad goes to Rods, what is your relationship with my father like going forward to his death? Like y'all, does he call you from time to time?
No, we weren't close. We didn't turn out to be buddies or anything like that. I mean,
Okay.
I would have liked that, but he I'll tell you what, some of the other things he did do, and some of the races after that, I'd have some folks that clearly were not as talented as your dad, that would drive for me 3 or 4 races a year, or one here and one there. And every once in a while, we'd look like we'd be in trouble. And back when, in that period of time, if you qualified 10th or more, you'd get some free tires. And if you qualified 8th, you got 4 or something. If you qualified in the first 2, you get 8 tires or something. You
Yeah.
got free tires. And on 3 occasions, at least 2, I think 3 occasions he gave me 2 tires.
Yeah.
When I needed 2 tires. So, and I know he did that to Dave Marcus too.
Yeah.
He was very. I'm aware of a large number of things your dad did that were kind-hearted gestures that he. I don't think he was interested in people knowing about kind-hearted gestures.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
No, you're right.
That's just my opinion there.
Yeah.